It's 1897, Kylie, and man, did they know how to get down and dirty back then.
Sexual oppression was real.
Oppression? Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Survive This Crit, the podcast where we combine our love for horror movies and RPGs to assess whether we could survive the horror movie. I'm your host, Nick Tapino, and with me is...
I'm your host, Kylie Olson. Thanks for joining us today.
Whoa, Kylie, you've joined us, no way.
It's like my Wi-Fi worked and I could join the call. It's crazy.
Oh my gosh. That's very true. For fans who don't know, Kylie's Wi-Fi was terrible.
Yes, I was jumping on and off this call before we got started. So we'll see how long this works.
Yeah.
But more importantly, we're recording this at a 7:30 on a weeknight. So if we're weird, that's probably why.
Very true. I am very tired. Not really. But anyways, in this episode, guys, we are starting our next series on the highly sexual Bram Stoker's Dracula. I try and say my most sexual voice.
Wow. That was something. Yes, the hypersexual Bram Stoker's Dracula. Nick, do you have
Was that your sexual voice?
No, full disclosure, I have a D&D NPC named Dracula, and he's like a fabulous, sassy vampire, and he talks in a Transylvanian accent, and he's very drab. So every time I say Dracula now, that's what I think of after playing that NPC for like over an hour, and my whole party not deciding to like get along with him, just immediately tried to kill him. So, if I slip up and call Dracula Drabula at some point during this episode, that's probably why.
Don't make such a foolish mistake.
He's such a drab.
Yeah. Anyways, we're glad you guys are here listening with us. In this episode, we're going to be doing a deep dive into some of the juicy details about the director of the movie, Francis Ford Coppola, the release of the movie and the drama behind it, and how it compares with the book. And of course, discussing whether or not we could survive the horror movie ourselves. So, with all that said, Kylie, let's get into it.
Let's do it. Nick, why don't you kick us off with a summary of this movie?
Yes. So, the summary of this movie basically is it's 1897, Kylie, and man, did they know how to get down and dirty back then.
Sexual oppression was real.
Oppression? I don't think anyone was oppressed. If anything, everyone was living out whatever they wanted to do at that point. Of course, if we judge the entire population by just that little subset of characters right there.
It was something. But anyways, please continue with your summary.
So, the movie goes like this. A 15th century prince known as Count Dracula is condemned to live off the blood of the living for all eternity. Hundreds of years later, young lawyer Jonathan Harker is sent to Dracula's castle to finalize a land deal. But when Count sees a photo of Harker's fiancée, Mina, the spitting image of his dead wife, he imprisons him, and sets off for London to track her down.
So, you think that sounds like the plot of the book, huh? Just you wait. Anyways, introducing this film. This film was released November 13th, 1992. It was directed by the Francis Ford Coppola, who you may know. If you don't know, what rock have you been living under? Most famous for the Godfather films. Obviously, this movie is based on the title, the novel Dracula by Bram Stoker. And I've got a bit of a deep dive on the book to movie comparison for the next episode. This film was distributed by Columbia and Sony Pictures, and the budget for this movie was $40 million USD. The film grossed $215.9 million when they initially didn't think it was going to be a success. Based on the concepts that they had for this film, critics before it came out were like, this film is gonna bomb, like it's gonna be terrible. They gave a lot of like negative feedback early on, and then of course it blew them all away by making over $200 million in the box office. Domestically, it made $82.5 million. Internationally, it made $133 million. And you may wonder, was this film nominated for any of awards? Why, yes, it was. It was nominated for 4 Academy Awards and won 3 of them for the year 1993. So it won the Academy Award for Best Costumes, which I have a link to
Eiko Ishioko's speech
below. She just seemed like she really knew what she was doing, and some of her interviews and her process with this was really incredible. And I'll talk more about her and her work in the next episode. It also won for Best Sound Effects and Best Makeup. It also was nominated and won multiple BAFTA awards and Saturn Awards. But now we come to the tomato meter. How do you think it did with critics versus audiences? Let's start with the tomato meter this time.
Don't we start with the tomato meter every time?
I think we do. I think it's just the order that I write it in.
Oh no, Kylie, we're forgetting our own episodes.
I know, it's like we've been doing this for almost 2 years.
Oh no. Okay, let's see. We always start with the critics' score. And I'm going to say, I think critics had a pretty decent liking of it. I would imagine they do. It feels so artsy, you know? So I'm going to say 82%.
The tomato meter gave it a 69. Nice. Very on brand
69%. Wink.
Wink. Maybe it was intentional. Maybe they knew the themes of this movie.
Oh my gosh. Okay, then I'm just, you know what? For audience score, I'm going to say 69 again.
You know what? You're actually closer. It was 70 for the audience popcorn meter score.
Oh, okay. So the audience is a little more subtle about it. Yeah.
But a lot of people, like based on those reviews that I read, a lot of people called it grinding and a little bit draining, but visually stunning. Others blamed the screenplay, but a lot of people said that Dracula just looked silly instead of looking scary.
Wait, what? Looking silly?
I think they're referring to some of his other forms, not like the bat or the wolf, but I think like when he's...
I think they're thinking of Keanu Reeves.
He did look silly in this movie. Don't bully my Keanu.
Oh, I think he can take it.
I think he can too. But what do you think modern audiences thought about this movie? Or specifically Letterboxd?
Specifically Letterboxd. The people of my generation.
Even though you don't have an account.
No, I don't have an account. I refuse. Just like the people of my generation. I'm gonna say 4 stars out of 5.
You're really close. They gave it a 3.7 out of 5.
3.7?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't understand why people do this whole, like, it should all be in half number increments, shouldn't it?
Yeah, it is. But, I mean, when you average a bunch of those numbers together, it creates not just a half number, it creates more than that.
I don't know, it just feels weird. Anyway, okay, so I was close.
You were close. And a couple reviews of this movie I thought were interesting. Julia Belloni said...
Julia Belloni.
I think it's Julia Belloni. Whoops. This is what I get for not using my glasses. I can barely see what I'm reading. She said, sexy, weird, entertaining, scary. The perfect combo, went into it with 0 expectations and loved it. One person commented, and I forgot to write their name, actually just a really bad adaptation, destroyed the characters, 10,000 steps back for feminism, 0.5 out of 5. And then Ely gave it a 3 out of 5 and said Francis Ford Coppola is a freak.
Yeah, I'd agree with that one.
Right? Yeah, after watching this movie. But yeah, so that is a little bit about the ratings and reviews of this movie. But Nick, I have some monster movie trivia for you.
All right. I am ready. Let's hear what you got, Kylie. You want to explain the game real quick to audience members who maybe haven't heard this?
So people who haven't played this with us before, basically Nick has 3 chances to get all the questions right of our 10 question trivia section. Basically, these are questions about the movie to see how well he paid attention, and for every missed question he has, he gets a bite by Dracula. So let's begin. In full disclosure, I normally take a bunch of sources and make a really complex quiz. This time it's from funtrivia.com because life just did not allow for that this season. So that's where we're at today. Question number 1. In the beginning of the movie, it is revealed that Dracula originally had a wife named Elisabetta. Her death is what set into motion his transformation from Vlad the Impaler to the undead Dracula. What manner of death does she suffer?
I believe she throws herself off a ledge. She kills herself, essentially. Because she reads a letter, I believe, of making her think that Vlad, was he went by Vlad, or did he go by Dracula, right?
I think he went
Dracula.
by Vlad then. I think it was Vlad the Impaler pre-transformation.
Okay, I was trying to figure that out, because sometimes that's like a hit or miss, did someone call him Vlad or whatever? Anyway, she threw herself off a building.
That's correct. She killed herself. What is the surname of Lucy, the rich friend Mina is staying with?
The surname? That would be Westenra.
Yeah, good job.
Oh, thank goodness! I actually looked this up minutes before we got on, because I was just making the casting list, and I knew it was either Westenra or Westerna, and I was like, man, this could be. Whew, I'm glad I got it right.
I'm so proud of you. Okay, question number 3. When the Count arrives in England, where does he ask Mina for directions to?
He asked directions to the... Man, he said it in such a weird way. The cinematograph. He wanted to go see a movie.
You're right on the name. Actually, it was just the lack of confidence going in what was what was making me laugh.
He said it so weird. I don't even think people called it that in the 1800s.
That is my favorite version of Gary Oldman, though, is when he's... full disclosure, I almost was like, Lucy and Dracula, perfect Halloween costume for Joshua and I this year. And then as I'll get into my thoughts and opinions, my mind changed.
My favorite version of Gary Oldman, though? Professor Lupin.
Oh, yeah, well, duh. I'm talking about...
Because, we gotta make werewolf sexy again, Kylie.
Oh my gosh. We always gotta make wolves sexy. Question number 4. When the character of Lucy is first introduced, she comes upon Mina, and as Mina's trying to be more ladylike, there is a naughty book that falls from her laps, and the illustrations give her away. What rather salacious book was it?
Playboy. No,
Can you imagine? There's got to be a Dracula adaptation in the 90s or something that just a Playboy falls out of Mina's lap.
No, it was 101 Arabian Nights, I believe.
It was Arabian Nights. Okay, Nick. You pay attention.
I know, right? When there's boobies around, you'd be surprised how well I pay attention.
Oh my gosh.
That was terrible. Cut that out. I don't want my wife to hear that.
We'll see. I may keep that. Question number, I think 5. What reason does the Count give Mina for not wanting to make her a vampire like himself?
Wait. Can you word that again? Just one more time. Sorry.
Why does the Count not want to make Mina a vampire?
Because it's the vague way. I don't know exactly how he said it, but it's like a living hell to be immortal, and he considers his immortality to be suffering. That's the general way of putting it. I don't know. You looking for very specific words?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give you a bite for that, because you're already on question 5. The reason that's here is because he loves her too much.
Lame.
Ew. So you take one bite from Dracula. I'm gonna bite your skin.
How many milliliters of blood is that?
Enough to keep you alive.
Oh, good job avoiding the real question.
Question number 6. what are Mina and Count Dracula drinking at the dinner they attend?
Absinthe. Absinthe
Actually,
with the green
fun
fairy.
fact, we just made some absinthe because you can buy wormwood at the Ren Fair. So we have 2 giant containers of absinthe
But
in our
Kylie,
pantry.
it has the word sin in it. They made sure to zoom in on the one shot right there so they're pouring the glass.
That's true. They really play into that. Okay. Let's see. Question number, I think 7. What famous Italian actress has one of her earliest roles in this film by playing one of Dracula's brides?
Ooh. Another one coming in clutch because I looked at the casting last minute.
Oh my gosh.
Monica Bellucci, I believe.
Absolutely. I was actually
Ooh.
surprised by that. Ooh. Monica Bellucci is one of Dracula's brides. Question
I don't even know
8.
who that is. Who's Monica Bellucci?
You saw Beetlejuice. She's in that. She's a love interest in that. She's Tim Burton's.
I mean, the
like,
one who
current
never has a
muse.
line and just like wanders around the background the whole
Yeah,
time?
like wanders around all beautifully with her like stitched face. Yeah, that's Monica Bellucci.
Oh, okay.
So, question number 8. When Dracula says, "Listen to them, the children of the night. What sweet music they make." What is he referring to?
That would be the wolves, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Like there were wolves howling?
Yeah. Damn, you're doing really good.
I know, right? Gosh, it's like I actually watched the movie.
I'm shocked. Question number 9. Look what your blank has done to me. It's a line from that Dracula says. Look what your blank has done to me.
Is it bad that I thought of something sexual?
No, because that's clearly what they want you to get out of this movie.
No. Look what your God has done to me.
Yes.
Because he renounces God.
Question number 10. When Van Helsing and Mina separate from the others and she begins to come under the influence of Dracula and his brides, she tries to seduce him and starts to change into a full vampire until Van Helsing uses what to shock her back into her senses?
He uses a communion wafer, doesn't he? Like sticks it on her forehead and leaves an imprint.
I thought that was so funny because it's like gluten. Like, that would be a way to
Gluten!
repel me. Like, shh, the curse of the gluten.
Yes. For fans who don't know, Kylie has the same effect when gluten touches her body.
That's facts. Yeah. I will avoid turning into a vampire. I will just deteriorate.
No, it'll leave a burn mark on your skin.
Yeah, exactly. That's even better. It just leaves like a little GF on my head. My calling sign. But Nick, you survived Monster Movie Trivia with only getting 1 question wrong, which I think is a record for you.
It might be. Oh my gosh. I'm so happy for myself. This is a big day. I think I should celebrate after we're done here. I'm going to give myself a slice of cheesecake or something.
Let's get into our thoughts and opinions, Nick. I want to hear what you thought about this movie. Obviously, if you guys didn't get the memo at the beginning, it's a deep dive. There's spoilers. Get over it. Okay, Nick. Go ahead.
Get over it. I love that.
It's 7:30 p.m. I don't have time for people's bullshit.
Okay. Thoughts and opinions on the movie. Well, in general, I definitely liked this movie. I thought it was very well done. I loved everyone in it except for one particular character, Keanu Reeves, which
I
apparently
didn't like him either.
Which apparently I am not alone. I found out via research that it's kind of like a ubiquitous feeling that everyone has that likes this movie is that they don't like Keanu in it, and like I
He
really
just does nothing the whole movie, so I get that.
Well, it's not just that. He just also has like a really bad British accent, and like I was thinking about that too, and I was like, this is 1992. Now I don't know if you're a big Bill and Ted fan or how well you've followed Keanu Reeves'
I've
career.
not followed him at all, except I know him from John Wick.
Okay,
That's it.
so in 1992,
in the Matrix, duh. But
yeah, in the Matrix. So basically, Kylie, it was like the year 1990, and a little before that, he had these 2 like cult classic movies that came out called Bill and Ted, and there's Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and Bill and Ted's Bogus Adventure. And he had a very similar voice, and he somehow kind of borrowed that voice into this movie. But here's the thing: he kind of talks like this, dude. Like the whole time. Yeah,
That's probably why he had like 0 lines in the whole movie.
Yeah,
he didn't talk very much except in the beginning.
So it was really tough for me to watch because he had I forget if he plays Bill or Ted, which one he plays, but he has whatever that character's name is, energy into this movie. And my critique with that is that it's not that Keanu Reeves is a bad actor. Even Francis Ford Coppola actually went up to bat for Keanu Reeves, saying that he was just trying so hard to be perfect. I was just gonna say, so he said like that was his undoing. And honestly, like I saw what movies he had coming out like afterwards, and I'm not really familiar with his mid-90s movies very much, like Speed or anything like that. But I know by the time The Matrix hit, he was like an icon. Like everyone loved him. So my big critique of this film is honestly they needed a later Keanu Reeves to be in this movie. He needed 7 more years on him.
He needed a mature 7 more years as an actor. Okay, I hear you.
But yeah, and oh my gosh, the other thing I didn't like is how his hair turned gray. At one point, like I clocked that the first time I saw this movie. Like his hair turning gray all of a sudden, and then just like suddenly you get more gray and then more gray. And then I think towards the end, it somehow got more black. And I don't think...
Yeah, I noticed that too!
Yeah, so whoever was in charge of his hair or costume was not paying close enough attention.
Not costume. Don't you dare... Academy Award winner.
Eiko Ishioko.
She earned that.
Put some respect behind her name.
Put some respect behind her name. I get that. I honestly didn't love Keanu Reeves either, but as someone who read the book, literally finished it today in time for recording this podcast, I did not like this movie. If they literally could have called it anything else, Dracula, or they could have called it
but there's already a Dracula.
They could have called it like Lost Love of Dracula, because that's what the movie like more so was about. It didn't follow the book, and like I'm somebody that if you're making an adaptation out of the book, you really need to honor at least the main plot points of the book. I'm looking at you, Maze Runner, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, like those type of movies of the book so bad. And I feel like...
But did it really, though? Did it really?
Yes.
Because here's the thing. This is like... This movie is known for being the most accurate or the most faithful compared to the other ones.
Comparatively, yes. Because they have all the side characters. But the entire plot point of Mina falling in love with Dracula is nowhere in the book. Like, Mina and Jonathan's relationship in the book is so unique because it talks about this young married couple who suffer this crazy trauma together in separate occurrences, and then they work through that trauma. And Mina in the book, I'm getting on a soapbox here. Mina in the book
is
like...
Testify.
She's an amazing literary character. She basically solves the whole fucking mystery of who Dracula is in the first place. Because she finds everybody's journals, she takes notes for everybody, she connects all the dots as fast as Van Helsing is doing, and then, of course, when she gets bit, because that is in the book, she doesn't, like, fall in love with him, but she ends up being able to use this power against him by being hypnotized and being able to track him. So, I feel like the book, as slow as it was to read, granted, like, literally I finished it today. I've been reading this book for months, and I kept putting it down and reading other things, because if you like to read, you get it. If you get bored with a book, you're like, okay, I gotta read something else for a while. But I feel like they did Mina's character a huge disservice. They just made her basically a lot like Lucy, and Lucy in the book is pretty much what she's like in the movie. Like, I will say some of the side characters, they got pretty accurate. And next episode I'm gonna dive into this deeper. But like my biggest grief was that I feel like they did Mina such a disservice, and they added this huge love story that wasn't in the book because it takes away from the actual themes of the book. And I think, and no hate to the screenwriter and to Coppola, but as someone who is like, I'm watching this because it's Bram Stoker's Dracula. That's what I'm coming in expecting to see. And in some ways, like, I get why they didn't do it, because Bram Stoker's Dracula is very, very slow at parts. But the movie, like, really, don't call it that if that's not what it is. Like, it's a very, very loose adaptation. And, like, I mean, even up till the very end, I just, like, it pissed me off. But visually, beautiful. The sets, the costumes, like, stunning. Lucy's red dress and Gary Oldman in his young top hat look. Amazing. Like, everyone looked incredible in this movie, and I'm not going to take away from even, like, the bat formations and the wolf, and, like, visually it was stunning. And I'm not at all surprised that it was nominated for a ton of awards, and it was, like, directed well, acted well with the material that they had. It just pissed me off that it wasn't like the book. Like, don't make something that's the book if you're not going to make it like the book.
That's, Kylie, I get it. I understand. I've had similar feelings about all the live action remakes that Disney makes of the animated movies right now.
Yes.
I totally get that. Maybe that's why I don't feel about, like, maybe that's why I like this a little bit more, because even though I also have read the book, it has been years, like almost 20 years since I have read the original story. So by the time I watched this movie, all the vague major plot points were what stuck in my mind. I was like, oh, okay, this kind of matches. I think that, I don't dislike the unique spin of the Dracula having a romantic relationship with
I don't
Mina,
dislike it
or
either.
having a
Just
lost
call
love.
it something else. Like, he literally could have called it anything else other than Bram Stoker's Dracula. Like, if you're calling it that, audiences are going to have the expectation that it's going to be like the book. And I think that's where I was disappointed, is I came in with the expectation. But I think they literally could have named it anything else. Like, reuniting with my lost love, or like something better than that. But like, they could have had a title like Dracula's Ultimate Bride, like something that was on theme and still told a similar story, but the story they told wasn't Bram Stoker's Dracula. Like, it just wasn't. Like, the plot points that they hit, like, they hit like a lot of the same plot points, but the biggest, like, one of the biggest arcs being in the movie, Mina and Dracula falling in love. I think as an audience member, I could have appreciated that more if I hadn't been the whole time, like, comparing it to the book and being like, this is nothing like the freaking book. Why are you claiming this to be a direct remake of the book?
That's fair. And
or
I
a
think
direct adaptation.
That's what a lot of people have trouble with any remakes of anything, is you always want to compare it to the thing that you grew up with. So I get it. I think I had enough detachment from the original source material to still enjoy the movie. And I think that's what a lot of, like, Hollywood today is, just, not getting through their head, is, they want to keep their IPs. I get it. They want to keep their IPs, so they keep making the remakes of these movies, bringing it to the live action remakes of things. But they don't seem to get that people don't want, when they hold something really close, it's not going to be well received to see a redone story, unless it's like a faithful adaptation. But then again, that's the catch-22 of it all, is if it's a shot-for-shot remake, then what's the point of it? I think
you're talking about Lilo and Stitch here a little bit, right? Because we're
Lilo and Stitch,
this
How to Train Your Dragon, The Lion King, all of that. I mean, I'm a big Disney
Yeah.
fan, so of course I'm talking about Disney live action remakes. Lilo and Stitch just happens to be like the most recent one right now.
Yeah.
But you know, I think the Dracula one meets within this exception still, which is there's enough distance regarding time between when the remake happened and when the source material happened that there was enough
That's
people
fair.
who
Yeah.
didn't hold it as close to their hearts. Before people would say like, oh, 20 years is good enough. But now we have streaming going around, and all the movies that we loved as kids that are getting remade are still readily available to us at our fingertips.
That's true. The remakes are happening within a 10 to 15 year turnaround now, which is crazy. I agree with you on that. Like, my take is definitely more sensitive because I'm sensitive about book adaptations specifically, not live action remakes.
Mhm.
So I agree with you. Like, if I had read the source material in high school, then I probably would have gone into this movie and loved it. But I feel like my biggest beef with Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula, this film, was that it didn't follow the book.
Mhm.
And I will, as a true book lover, I will always have that beef.
I don't think you have like a controversial opinion or a hot take. I think that's something everyone feels like. If a movie's based on a book, everyone tends to agree the book is always better.
Well, and as I'll talk about in the next episode, I don't even agree that the book is necessarily better. It just doesn't follow the plot of the book.
That is our first part of our deep dive, talking about our thoughts and opinions. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye, everybody.